Hey, friends. I woke up this morning and I picked up my. There's a meditation app on my phone that I use every single day. It's called Insight Timer. Many of you probably have it or use it. It's great. I literally only use the timer. It's got all these other features and meditations and stuff, but I really just use it to keep track of my meditations. But you can program these different bells. You can set presets for different lengths of meditation. You can have intermittent bells. It's all kind of different sounds of bells. It's like a whole array. It's a bell buffet in your phone. Now I've done my pitch for Insight Timer. Anyway, one of the little nuggets each morning is that Insight Timer offers a quote of the day. So every single day as you load the app, it flashes a quote by someone, and they do a pretty good job of picking them. I have to say, they find good quotes, and they considering they have to come up with one every single day, they do a pretty good job of coming up with fresh ones. And today's quote was by Joseph Campbell, and it was something like, "You have to let go of the life you have planned so that you can receive the one that is waiting for you." And I was like, oh, right. I have been in this sort of what I have been calling everything from a transitional phase to a dark night of the soul for a while now. Over a month, I would say. I'd say it started before I went to Michigan for a month, and it has persisted up to now, in the sense that I don't feel like I'm through the transition. I don't feel like I'm on the other side yet. Lots of information, lots of insight has come through, and lots of change has actually indeed happened. I'm not where I was at the beginning of all this. But something that this quote really kind of drives home is the way I interpret this quote. You have to leave behind the life you have planned in order to live the one that is waiting for you, or to receive the one that is waiting for you. I forget how he says it, but the way I interpret that is, plans happen in the mind. The mind is literally the planning tool. It's the planning app of the human body. And that means it's always, if we take Sadhguru at his word, Sadhguru, in a number of different ways, talks about how the mind can only deal in recycled material. It can only deal in the past. It literally can't deal with something that it has not previously experienced. So it's moving around chunks of past in order to try to create a future. And of course, given past experience, it's trying to avoid the pain of the past, avoid the pitfalls of the past, reproduce the pleasures of the past, right? But that's really all it can do. So when we talk about a life we have planned, we're talking about, in some ways, a past tense version of ourselves. a past tense version of our life. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean don't make any plans. Or if you make plans with somebody, it's fine to just blow them off. Like, that's not what this means. That's obviously, there's a kind of, um, there's a kind of deeper essence to the nature of how we view life that I think Joseph Campbell is kind of beckoning us towards here, in the sense of, like, we can make all the plans we want, and we can even work towards those plans, right? I mean, that's kind of the point of a plan. Make a plan and then work towards it. Just don't get confused and think that that plan is the life, or that if we're not getting towards the thing that's in our plans, if our plans don't seem to be all materializing, that somehow that means we're off course. We might be off course, but we're not off course simply because things aren't going to plan. Like, that's not really the reason. If we're off course because some deeper essence, some deeper part of ourself that is not from the mind is telling us you're not on course. There's something else you should be doing. You should be aligning your energy with this. You should be going this direction. There's a purpose, a project, something that is not fully known. Because that is, the nature of evolving consciousness is that it's expanding, right? By definition, if consciousness is expanding, it's incorporating more and more of the universe into ourself, and in that sense, it has to be reaching out towards things that are not in our past, but that are in our present moment, right? We're reaching towards the future, trying to expand into the future. And so I take all this. I think I'm kind of riffing on this in a way because it helps me remember how much investment to put in my mind's answer to the question, what's next? I don't know what's next. I do know that even throughout this transitional phase, where I have had and continue to have moments that feel like dark nights of the soul, where it's like I really there's pressure, there's building urgency, and there's not a clearly lit path. Even as that happens, it's the experience in the moment. It's another Joseph Campbell bit of life advice: follow your bliss. It's the bliss of the moment. It's this next step. That's what's really available to me in those moments. And even if I did have a plan, I think that's sometimes what we do is we get to a dark night of the soul, a moment when the universe and our whole kind of existential being is telling us there's something very important for you to do. But that might be all we hear. We might not hear, and here it is, and here's the place you need to go. You need to go to this doorstep, you need to ring this doorbell, you need to go up to this floor, right? And we may not have that much information. It might just be like, there's something deeply, deeply significant and important to your soul's journey that you really want to be paying attention to. And the concrete steps might not be, then we have to kind of sit in a kind of faith that that will be revealed in time, that will come to us in time, that by moving our feet forward, that by following our bliss, that will emerge. But what we tend to do, or at least, I mean, I'll speak for myself, get the sense this is kind of a universal phenomenon, but what I can do very well is to make plans in the mind that sort of throw spaghetti at the wall of the inner light. It's a weird image, but go with me. You know, the mind tries to formulate something out of the need for knowing what the hell we're supposed to do. The mind wants to know. The mind wants to have a plan. And again, it's not that we don't want to have any plans. It's just that the plans that emerge out of that need to have a plan are not going to be the right plans. The plans that emerge because they're simply the logical extension of an already felt clear impulse, those plans are likely to be concrete, they're likely to be actionable, they're likely to be not confusing, they're likely to have clear next steps, and they're only likely to go so far. They're not likely to be these vast panoplies of, you know, overwhelmingly complex future vision. They're just the step that needs to be taken to honor the part of us that knows where it's going, that already knows where it's going, that already knows how to expand. So I'm telling myself that both, ironically, both as a way of alleviating some of my planning and my mental craving for a plan in a time like this, and also as a way of giving myself permission to make plans, but to hold them in a gentle way, to let the impulses that arise create a roadmap for me, you know, however long or short it may be, but leave it unattached. Keep it just outside of myself in a way, and don't get too invested in the plan. Don't shift the investment from that inner state of readiness and presence onto the plan and the kind of box ticking almost sort of like it's like being hypnotized by the mind. It draws us into compulsive behavior when we get to that place. It's like our plans become this mental compulsion, and we're out of touch. We're no longer in the moment. So that's what my insight timer offered me this morning. Thank you, Joseph Campbell. Thank you, Insight Timer. And this is an ongoing journey. You know, there's a sense in which this is really, I'm kind of hanging on to it, and I'm deliberately bringing it up in these posts because it keeps me from, it gives me a way of reminding myself where I am and where I need to go. You know, I use this post as a way of speaking from the highest place that I have access to any given day. That's a good place to start every day. That's a good place to go to work from in this process, because ultimately there's so much unknown that it's easy to want to grab hold of mental handholds create those plans, create those fixed points, giving myself the chance to remember where to be, how to be in it, the mental light that shows up when I can be in that state of presence. All of that feels like the right kind of invitation. So you'll be hearing more, I'm sure. But thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.